Oh, and the Borodino firing back as well. Absolutely brutal. I think that annihilated most of them. Hello guys, and welcome to a new Broken Arrow video today by me, Vulcan. In this one we're on the power plant map, and I'm going to be using a motorized battle group. Now this battle group is special because it doesn't have any tracked vehicles whatsoever. It's actually very unique. It means we have no tanks, it means we have a very limited supply of support units, relying quite heavily on our helicopters, on our aircraft, and just generally on specific strategies. So a lot of our AA is in our infantry, and on my helicopters, a lot of my anti-tank is in my aircraft and in my infantry. So it's going to be a really interesting battle. We'll see if we can make it work. But at the start of the game, I'm of course going to be coming out with two Su-34s. Now these are set up with a CAB 1,500 kilogram bomb. We've got two air-to-air missiles, and then we have also got some seed going on as well. I'm going to try and whip a few missiles into these guys. I need to be kind of careful though, as I only have two air-to-air missiles, but as long as I can kind of hit them and force them back, it should be fine. And so far so good. The nice thing about my Su-34 is it does have ECM, so we're able to somewhat dodge a lot of these missiles. And I'm going to bring over here, and we're going to try and drop a bomb onto this position where the Osprey was. Ah, the F-35 catching us just at the last second there. Alright, well, with that over, it's time to bring out some troops. Let's go ahead and get some Spetsnaz dotted around. That's going to be the first port of call. No real successful run with the Su-34s this time around, but we did manage to damage a lot of stuff, and that F-35 definitely hung around way too long. Let's see if my US crew can get into a nice position here just to give us some information on the backside. Generally what I decide to do with my units now, and my pilots on the back here. If I get a chance, we might go and try and save him, but since I don't have any helicopters that can transport, that's kind of unlikely. Mi-35 getting on top of the units here. We'll absolutely delete them. Got to be careful though, as floating right over that infantry will cause it to get hit by the AT launchers of said infantry. There's also a mech rifle that just unloaded there, so did end up losing that. I'm just going to drive off here with the Typhoon to make sure that we killed that infantry unit. And we're going to start to bring in some more units. So we're going to go for the K-17 boomerangs. The K-17 boomerangs are really nice. They have active protection, so it actually makes them pretty strong. They can fend off sort of AT weapons, HGMs, and rockets pretty well. 4 active protection on them, and then 2 smokes as well. They also have 4 Hornet missiles, which is nice. So actually pretty good at taking out enemy armor, especially if you have 1 or 2 in the same position. But our team's off to a really rough start. We lost the air battle early on, and it's really going to be on us to try and take it back, or take back the ground that we lost initially. Because if we'd managed to control the sky early on, then I could have used my Su-34s to bomb the positions where those Ospreys landed, and therefore kill off all of the units that captured these flags. The way I'm going to have to do it now is try and save for some Verbers, have them come in to give us some AA. My Typhoon here was actually killed off. Get my Spetsnaz into cover. My K-17s have almost arrived. We'll get them unloaded. Nice. Going to be able to kill off that TOW too. Might want to smoke this if it manages to get a shot off. It did not. So simple kills for us there. I say that as Marine Raiders jump into the same building. Okay, my engineers should be able to help make short work of those Marine Raiders. The Marine Raiders not able to really get out of the building for a little while there because they were pinned. As soon as my guys have got in range, they're now absolutely dunking them. Beautiful. So really making good use of the anti-infantry. I'm going to want to consider bringing up some supply. A really nice tip with the supply. If you left click your supply vehicle and then shift click the supply, it will automatically fill it. So in this case, I would have to click 3 times normally, but if I just shift left click, it's already full. Nice and easy. So the reason I wanted to play this deck today was to kind of prove that it is somewhat viable to play with majority infantry. I know a lot of people had trouble using infantry in the beta, and this was kind of a battle group that I built to prove those people wrong. The infantry is actually quite strong in this, I think, particularly the Russian infantry, which can get access to the Cornet squads, which have 2 Cornets per squad, and same with the Verbers, which have 2 Verbers per squad. Like in this case, that poor Viper is already dead. Oh, never mind, the flares actually worked. The 3rd missile should hit the mark. There we go. Boom, Viper down, just like that. And these K-17 boomerangs are going to have to be careful of the M1A1HC here, but what I can do is have them both together, and then they'll fire off their Cornets at the same time, and we can potentially overwhelm a heavy tank using that strategy. I'm also going to bring up another Verba, so we have some way to deal with enemy helicopters that might be coming our way. I should also make sure that my infantry over here are unloaded so that we can help clean up some of these infantry units. There we go, boomerangs. Might want to actually push aggressively on this M1A1. I'm going to have this one move closer. Unfortunately, quite a waste in that situation. But the autocannons have done a lot of damage, as you can see. So for dealing with this kind of armor, the best thing for me to do is obviously we can use the boomerangs. But best thing for us to use is in fact the guards. Now guards have the best anti-infantry rocket in the game. So we're going to be trying to make use of them. Let's just try and get this supply unloaded back here so we can get our boomerangs loaded back up and fixed up. On the left side, looks like my VDV Spetsnaz have been taken out. We might not have chance here to really fix the way I want to. I'm going to move as far away as I can whilst I'm using this supply. Make sure that any units that reinforce move into cover. If your opponent does spam tanks like this, best thing you need to do is just use concealment. So he can't see a lot of my units a lot of the time. Because I'm in these buildings, I'm in the tree lines. It does have some recon, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to see those infantry if they weren't firing. I believe there is infantry moving through here. But for now, we're just going to wait for a moment to pounce with the boomerangs. And now looks like a good time. So we want to overwhelm its active protection. And there we go, already dead. Let's try and kill off the Shorad. Again, try and overwhelm its active protection with the Cornets. I think in that case the Shorad doesn't actually have any active protection, so the boomerangs just easily kill it. But now we have the guards arriving. That does give us an ability to kill the other Abrams that we've seen. And yeah, so far, so good. We've actually managed to do really, really well. As soon as that has its Cornets reloaded, we'll want to move away from the supply because of the artillery coming in. I'm holding this point on the right hand side, and we are going to want to start to do a similar thing in the center, but obviously we're kind of waiting on our points here. One thing that is definitely the case with this sort of strategy is infantry takes up a large amount of your income. Like the upkeep cost of them is actually pretty high. We're already down to like 184 there. They don't even have the active protection system on this M1A1, so that just got popped. Nice and easy. My Verba squad's here getting easy shots onto the F-35 as well. So it forces that back without doing any damage. Really, really nice. Right, let's start thinking about doing a similar job in the middle. So we'll bring up another K-17 with engineers. We'll bring up a K-16 with the guards. We'll bring up a Verba for enemy helicopters, and that combination might allow us to push into that center sector. So I'm just going to kind of sequentially move through and try and deal with each of these sectors. K-17 there, putting in good work once again. Small squad struggling in the face of the autocannons. Machine gun going to help finish things off. Let's see if we can kill ourselves a tow. So we have them pinned down. Let's just pop smoke here. Waste their reloads. There we have it. We'll move forwards again. Not a single tank in sight from our side. Maybe I can capture that supply. Verba will try and take down the Osprey in time, but we're probably not going to be able to. I might have to bring in an Su-34 at some point. We want to kind of keep sort of a local superiority with the boomerangs whenever we use them. Because if they are fighting 1 versus 1 against enemy tanks, you're going to be in for a bad time. The K-16 is pretty damaged. If they hit this supply, it's going to go up. And that will probably kill it. I'm going to try and edge it away as much as possible. Okay, that's fine. Right, what I'm going to do, we're going to have both of these try and maybe rush towards the enemy artillery on the backside there. And meanwhile, we'll just kind of carry on forwards with our guards, with our Verba, with our engineers. And same deal here, we're just going to unload these. And we're going to push them forwards in the middle with the boomerangs ready to support. In this case, we're going to want to smoke and fall back because we're definitely not going to win that engagement under fire from the shotgun. We'll move over the K-17 to help us out. At this range, the engineers should be actually pretty well off, but with the artillery coming in, we're going to have to avoid that. Interesting. Multiple paladins coming down the road here. Looks like we've managed to bump into the reinforcements. There's a lot of paladins. That's a huge amount of kills for me. Massive, massive kills. We managed to keep our engineers alive. Let's make sure to bring in some more supply. Oh no, one of my K-17 just got popped. But we already killed all the paladins, so it's too late really. Let's jump across the guards and you'll see how effective they are. Look at that, big damage. Now those mech engineers are actually bad news for us. We'll try and move across the K-17 to engage. We can move across the Typhoon here as well, actually. Good. So the mech engineers, they're good at anti-infantry. That's what I would have to be a bit worried about. But our engineers are going to beat theirs, and then my engineers can kill those nice and easy. But since we're going to have to deal with this heavy armor, like my boomerang's great and all, but I think this is going to require an Su-34. If we can keep our eyes on some of these, we're going to press P. Maybe I should just finish off this one that I can see out in the open. That'd be the smart thing to do. We're going to unload this behind the building here. In the middle, we've actually managed to clean that out, so that's worked out really well. And so far so good. Now if the opponents were using more M1s with active protection, then it would really come down to overwhelming them with AIRSTRIKES. At the moment, it looks like our opponent here is kind of relying on more cheap Abrams. Maybe trying to go for like a more of an overwhelming strategy. You can see that they did buy in like 4 Abrams at the same time. And that can work, but when you're in this sort of situation that I'm in, and I'm using basically a dedicated infantry strategy, the tanks have a really hard time if they don't have active protection. But that sort of strategy does work if your opponent's using a lot of armor. So if he were up against, say, a T-14 Armata, which is probably something that he's come up against a lot, and therefore that's why he's opted to go for a lot of sort of cheaper tanks. It does work, but in this case, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm going to keep bringing in more and more of these Kamas with more supply. I could also potentially invest into the Drock, But one thing I definitely want to do is try and actually break through the middle here and get towards this artillery. I think I'm going to do that. We're not going to be able to pull back from that because it has been disabled. It's unfortunate. My reinforcements are going to arrive shortly. We've got 2 more Cornet squads on the way. We are going to need probably another engineer squad here because we're getting light on infantry. Okay, all my units getting wrecked there, unfortunately. Bumped into a couple of heavy tanks sitting back in the middle of the map. Oh, my poor Kamaz truck got picked off. Now we're going to have to deal with enemy ballistic missiles. So that is not something I can really deal with this deck. It is something that is very strong at the moment for the Americans. It's one of the reasons that they are incredibly good at the moment. And personally, I think the US are better than the Russians overall because of their ability to use the sort of combination of really good heavy tanks in the M1s and then also the HIMARS and ATACMS. There's a lot of recon around, so we are going to invest in my own. I don't have much recon here at the moment, so we'll get our snipers in because I'm pretty sure there's just recon spotting everything right now. Nice, good kill by the Weber. Got down an F-18. You can see these manpad squads are very good, especially if your opponent forgets to afterburn. Let's unload this over here, and we're going to try and clean out this right hand side. Meanwhile, I should probably bring up another VDV Razvedka with a Typhoon VDV for the right hand side here, because this is really open to a flank at the moment. So we want to cover that off for our team with a recon unit. So we've done a lot of damage across the board at the front here so far. We are going to have to fend off the next big attack that comes in. But I'm hoping that my Cornet squads will be able to do that. If they come under sort of concentrated fire from multiple Abrams at once, we're going to be in for a bad time. When in giving my infantry orders, I'm holding shift and I'm giving them attack move orders through the tree lines so they don't kill themselves unnecessarily. Here's enemy infantry. That is recon, so we need to get rid of those. And I'm going to run forwards my infantry here, get them on the point, so that we do not lose this to them. Might be just too late. Yep, unfortunately. But we should be able to clean them out of this point shortly. Nice hit by the Tor. Let's get my snipers unloaded. The sniper teams for the Russians are very good, because they're a 3-man sniper team, so they really bully American sniper teams.
Сложные задачи, это про нас. Уже едут. Это пехота. Пехота ждет указаний.
I managed to kind of clean up the position where those tanks were. I don't know if the tanks got killed another way. But let's just take an opportunity to zoom in and take a little look around. Things have quietened down quite a bit. Oh, there goes the enemy tow unit. Got some units behind that need to be taken care of. It's okay. I'll come in and bomb them. Or our team. Just drop a bomb, say, here. Oh, and the Borodino firing back as well. Absolutely brutal. I think that annihilated most of them. And so far so good, really. Let's make sure my Typhoon is unloaded on the right hand side. I'll move my unit up there, we'll keep the Typhoon maybe on the road. Let them cover off the right flank. Don't need to push like too much further here. And pull back into the tree line with the guards. And then as soon as they get into range and into line of sight, you can open up and ambush them. There we go, boom. Jorad getting hit hard. Probably try and kill these guys. Let's move back and use the supply to resupply the Verba, unless that is going to hit the supply, which it didn't. Moving back these units in the tree line here because there's probably some other enemy recon that's spotting us. Looks like another good chance to use an Su-34 on the left hand side. You can see that they're struggling to kind of work out a way to push forwards at the moment using their tanks, and all the while I'm just going to continue to invest into more guards, into more cornets, in order to defend this left side. Alright, let's go low whilst we're sorting this out. And boom. Double kill, I think. That was lovely. A little bit of a miss micro on my part. I should have already had it low and afterburning, so that it didn't get hit by the initial missile there. If I'd done that, would have been a pretty much perfect strike. So I'd love to go for this Paladin, but the M1A1's kind of in the way. I may be able to use the Boomerang to kill this. Let's see about getting the Cornet across, I think. My teammate might also be trying to do the same thing. If we can hit it with the Cornets from this building, plus the Cornets from the Boomerang at the same time, that would be huge. I'm gonna get rid of my K-17, or smoke off my K-17 there. Alright. This is why I really like the Su-34, but the way is it's almost always affordable. So it seems. Big push coming across from a teammate. Absolutely annihilating the enemy there. Try and shift up my sniper. Gonna try and take the opportunity to move up here and engage the M1A1 as well. Although that's really not gonna have a good time against the Armatas and the T90s. Okay, last thing we need to do is help push up the left. So I think with some of the spare points that I have, we'll invest into the guards, Monostrauki, some engineers, and what do you know, we'll grab a Verba. And that's pretty much the combination that I like to use in this situation. Then you bring the Cornets in once you're purposefully having to deal with heavier tanks, because the Cornets can very easily overwhelm the active protective systems of the Abrams. Sorry. So I'm going to actually unload one here, and we'll maybe unload one further to the right here as well. And then we'll have the Typhoon VDVs sit nearby in case there's any infantry showing up. But so far, my opponent on the right hand side investing just constantly into tanks, which is obviously not paying off for them whatsoever. I could also throw these over to the left hand side. I think I might do that instead. Since my teammate has a load of heavy tanks here, we'll probably play a bit further back with the Typhoons and kind of invest more into taking the last point on the left side. Where's my Verba? We need to move that forwards to help with these helicopters, because those are having a bad time right now. That is a lot of Vipers and Super Cobras. Maybe my VDVs can move forwards and engage those. Go, we did the initial damage. The aircraft kind of finished things off there. This time around we'll finish it off and should be able to overwhelm the active protection. So this is a M1A2 Set V3, so this is like pretty much the best tank that the Americans can get, and you'll see that the first shot almost always gets hit by, or taken out by, the active protection. The second one always gets through. We have just run out of supply, that's my bad. I should have had a truck nearby. So that is going to leave us in a little bit of a predicament here. My boomerang might be able to try and get some shots in. It's not going to have that much active protection left. The way that you realize that is basically by considering how many missiles have been intercepted. So in this case, the fourth salvo there just getting through easy peasy. Let's unload these now they've arrived. We'll start pushing up on the left. Looks like our opponents are starting to leave. Let's get my Verba back into position in the center. No need for me to overextend on this right hand side. We'll just get my supply to come in and resupply the Cornets, and then we should be absolutely fine. A-17 should be able to kill the Bradley. Have the Kamaz leave. Try and keep the Boomerang alive. K-17 Boomerangs, really important to keep alive. K-16 Boomerangs doesn't matter as much. Would really like to bomb these with a Su-34. Let's continue working our way through the back line with the guards. Our sniper's going to go and sit in this building here. It seems as though the T-90s and T-14s have managed to get the better of the Marine Raiders. onwards we go. This Spetsnaz still alive after all this time. Zoom these cornets into this building here. A little bit risky because this building is damaged. You can tell because the structure looks damaged if you zoom in on it, but it is also, when you zoom out, looks a little bit darker than the other buildings. So it may be more prudent to place them further up, like this building here. Big infantry push coming in. Let's bring up an Su-34. Looks like that's Su-34 already bombed it, but didn't use laser designation. Oh, I got guards here. Let's run them across. Get shots on. Oh, that's a lot of ATGMs. Right, let's hit the SEP here. And we'll laser designate that so that it hits the mark nicely. Boom. Well done. Again, the only mistake there is that I didn't afterburn sooner. Let's keep those engineers back. Unnecessary to lose those. Let's not run into artillery fire with the guards. That's also unnecessary. The K-17 is almost fixed up though, which is good. And now that's sold, we can go ahead and buy another Su-34 in just a moment. Interesting to see the cruise missile from the Tu-160 actually land on target once. Alright, let's watch my Su-34 come in. We'll smash the afterburner. And... oh, nice. Wait, did those cruise missiles just bang that? Very, very nice. Right, we'll turn off our afterburner then. And I guess we can just bomb those tow teams. That'll work. Nice. And if those get taken care of, that's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, and that is going to be the last objective taken in what was a very sort of sequential and methodical, I guess is probably the better word for it. A very methodical game where I did not use a single tank or tracked vehicle or out. The K-17 Boomerang, fantastic for doing this. I think the Russians are 100% better for doing this than the Americans are, just because their infantry is really good, and the K-17 Boomerang is really, really strong. You also get some really nice helicopters. The Su-34 is probably my favourite aircraft at the moment. But there we have it. 48 kills, 27 losses, 1.7 KD. You do get quite high KD with this particular battle group because you are utilising your transports a lot as your main sort of engagement tool. So they do die relatively easy compared to something like tanks. But yeah, really, really fun game. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.